I was given a MacBook Pro at my new job, and I quickly fell in love with it. But then my Android phone started feeling off, like it didn't belong. So I bought an iPhone to match. That wasn't the end. Next came new headphones, an Apple Watch, and almost an iPad until my credit card hit its limit. Now, you might be thinking, great, another Apple fanboy. But no, I'm here to talk about something bigger, the Diderot Effect. The Diderot Effect is a psychological phenomenon where buying one new item triggers a chain reaction of purchases. Each new thing feels like it needs a complement or match, and before you know it, you've spent way more than you intended. It's driven by our desire for harmony and consistency in our possessions. Does this overspending make sense? Not at all. I was so thrilled with my purchases that I ended up celebrating them with 2 months of a ramen noodle diet. So stick around, because by the end of this video, I'll share the lessons I learned and practical ways to avoid falling into this trap. But why is it called the Diderot Effect? The term comes from the story of Denis Diderot, an 18th century French philosopher. Diderot spent much of his life in poverty, working tirelessly on his writings and editing encyclopedias. He struggled financially to the point where he couldn't even afford to pay for his daughter's wedding. Then his fortune changed when Catherine the Great, the Empress of Russia, bought his entire library for what would be equivalent to $150,000 today. Suddenly, Diderot had more money than he'd ever imagined. He decided to treat himself to a luxurious scarlet dressing gown. But here's the twist. The fancy gown made everything else he owned seem shabby in comparison. To fix this, he bought a new desk, a plush armchair, elegant paintings, and more. One purchase led to another in a spiral of consumption until, ironically, Diderot was back to being broke. Funny how one fancy robe turned his life into a home makeover show, right? And the crazy part? We're all starring in our own versions of it today. Don't believe me? Let's look at some modern-day examples of the Diderot effect. For instance, you buy a new dress and immediately start shopping for shoes and accessories to match. You join a gym and feel the urge to buy workout clothes, shoes, fitness trackers, and protein powders. You bring home a new couch only to realize your old coffee table and curtains suddenly look outdated. And let's not forget IKEA, the master of triggering this effect. They've practically perfected the art of making you leave with a cart full of things you never planned to buy. It's like they sprinkle some kind of shopping magic dust over their store. But here's the thing. It's not magic. It's the Diderot effect at work, and marketers everywhere are in on the trick. So how do we break free from this spiral? Don't worry, there's hope. Here are 3 rules I've learned to help escape the trap. 1. The one in, one out rule. For every new item you bring into your life, commit to letting go of one old item. For example, if you buy new sneakers, sell or donate your old pair. This serves 2 purposes. It helps you offset some of the cost by reselling your old stuff. It makes you more mindful of your purchases. You're forced to ask yourself, do I really need this new thing if I have to part with something I already own? This rule has stopped me from buying things I didn't truly need, like that awesome Star Wars lightsaber that would have meant giving up my prized Lego Millennium Falcon. 2. The wait it out rule. Did you know ancient Persians would make important decisions both sober and drunk to see if the choice held up in both states of mind? While I'm not suggesting you do that, the principle of delaying decisions is powerful. Compulsive buying is our enemy. Most of our shopping decisions are emotional, not rational. I've made it a rule to wait at least 48 hours before buying anything online. This cooling off period gives me time to separate impulse from genuine need. I almost bought a self-stirring mug because honestly, stirring coffee felt like too much work that day. After 48 hours, I realized how silly it was to spend $30 on something I could easily do with a spoon. Crisis and money saved. 3. The upgrade budget rule. When I fell into the spending spiral, one major problem was my lack of a budget for extras. I'd just whip out my credit card whenever I felt the urge. To fix this, I created a specific category in my monthly budget called extras and set aside $150 for it. This approach works wonders for 2 reasons. It slows down big purchases. If I want something expensive, I have to save up for it over a few months. It doesn't feel restrictive. I'm still treating myself, but in a controlled way. Thanks to my upgrade budget, I feel less stressed throughout the month, and I'm no longer afraid of making completely impulsive decisions. The Diderot effect is a trap that's easy to fall into, but entirely possible to escape. So the next time you're tempted to upgrade or splurge, pause and think, is this truly a need, or am I just trying to match my new dressing gown?